I've been asked if AIDS can be healed, and in my experience, anything can be healed. I worked with a number of things where there were supposedly incurable cancers. I've worked twice with AIDS where it went down to HIV, and in one case completely disappeared, where the people became naturally healthy again. I've worked with myasthenia gravis, which is supposedly incurable, and that was cured. What I have found is that healing comes from the heart and the mind. It's like that we have the ability to heal ourselves, that basically an illness is a conflict in the mind, conflict in relationships that's been displaced onto the body, much as if we would have a conflict with our boss and go home and kick the cat. You know, it's like we take out on our bodies what's subconscious in our minds, and we're not aware of many of these conflicts. Sometimes we are. Some of the research around cancer is 6 to 18 months before the onset of a cancer. There's been a significant trauma with someone close to them. What I have found is that an illness is a wake-up call. You know, it's like it's hoping that you will take this step forward in life and that you will heal yourself. I've just recently worked with someone. I did the last session this morning where we had 13 sessions together, and their AIDS went to HIV and completely disappeared. And they worked at a mind level. They worked with experimental drugs. They worked with spiritually, and in all of these areas they took significant steps forward. So now he's the picture of health. He's speaking to Parliament and the United Nations about healing AIDS and working in Africa and things like this. My first experience with this was in 1985, and I had a client and a woman who was so sick she could barely get out of bed to come to see me. Within 3 months, she was back to work. In 4 months, she went from being the outcast in the office to being the most popular one in the office. By 8 months, she was the office manager. By 9 months, the boss would not go to lunch with anybody else. And in 11 months, she went to her dream business. And this is just healing those subconscious patterns, those relationship patterns, and then these soul and ancestral patterns. And then these other lifetime patterns, if you believe in that. If not, these are the unconscious images that the mind makes up to speak about what's going on. But it's just about healing the mind, and it can take place. It has been done. I got started with this because a good friend of mine who was in her late 60s when I was a young man, she had this inoperable cancer. She had a tumor as big as a rugby ball. And in one healing exercise in a workshop, it went from the size of a rugby to the size of a softball, and it was still inoperable. But 6 months later, she met her first doctor, who had sent her to an oncologist, and he looked at her and he said, "What are you doing still alive?" And then he realized what he had said, and she began to tell him. She said, "Well, I'm working with nutrition, and I'm doing spiritual healing, and I'm doing psychological." And he goes, "Oh, don't tell me, just whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Because he just couldn't believe that this woman was still alive. And she was alive, and she became totally healthy, and she flourished. These things can be changed. You know, I found that many people are on a death direction, and that can be changed. They're not even aware of it. And so we can go into the mind, we can go into the heart, we can go into the deeper mind and find what the trouble is, to heal your conflicts, to forgive the grievances, to let go of your attachments, every major illness speaks of a chapter, a new chapter, a better way of life that you're afraid of, that you don't think you can handle. And if you can get over that fear, that alone would heal the illness. If you could get through the guilt, there's no problem physically or any kind of problem that doesn't come from some form of guilt. Forgive yourself. All these hidden layers of guilt. And forgive others, because any place you have a grievance or a judgment, it's hiding your guilt. Your blame hides your guilt. You got to let go of all of that, because it poisons you, it kills you. So I just want to let you know that there are many different ways to heal yourself. And if you find a way that you can believe in, follow that. You know, you're being asked to change. That's what the wake-up call of an illness is. We're all being asked to change. So let's do it. Thank you.